All right, it's going live now.
Is it going live now? Coming.
All right, namaste and greetings, Marina Lazaris, and welcome to the Author Experience School convos that we have with authors like you to discuss their books. So welcome once again to the Author Experience conversation.
Thank you. Honored to be here, and thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure having you with us. We're looking forward to learning with you, learning more about you, learning more about your book, love the fuck out of everything, and learning more about the Marina method.
Thank you.
So before we get into your book and before we talk about the other things that you do as a coach, as an actor, we would like to know about your life journey, your story, and how your life has panned out till now, from childhood to now. So you have 9 minutes, 9 to 10 minutes. Over to you, Marina Lazaris. Walk us through your journey of life and your life story. Yes,
Right. Well, how
the stage is
beautiful.
all yours and the camera is all yours. All right, over to you.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. What an interesting perspective. Where do you start? Well, I was born in England to two amazing parents. My parents were sons and daughters of immigrants. So my grandparents, they came from Cyprus during the war on one side. On my mum's side, Ukrainian and Irish. So I was born to these parents that, even though they belonged here in the UK and they came from the UK, they didn't really feel like they truly belonged. But they were amazing teachers to me, and they taught me a lot about life. My dad was a phenomenal man. He worked 7 days a week. He was an entrepreneur and he had 20 men working for him. And he taught me a lot around how to communicate with people, how to be with people, how to love everybody from, just everyone. My dad is still larger than life and very spiritual. But because he worked so hard and he worked 7 days a week, he got a pituitary gland tumor and nearly died when I was 9. So that experience of my dad nearly dying, that experience of my mum relying on my dad and seeing how they coped with losing everything, they lost it all. And my dad nearly lost his life. It was through his positivity and his mindset of like, I'm drinking lemon water, Marina, and I'm going to stay alive, that he stayed alive. A lot of the illness was down to trauma, down to unprocessed trauma in childhood. So this led me into my own spiritual path at a young age, because my dad told me about out-body experiences, because I was very open. I was like, right, I'm going to study. I studied philosophy and theology. I studied about religion. It was weird. I was more drawn to the study of religion than anything else, because I was fascinated. My parents always were like, Marina, believe what you want. And I was absolutely fascinated with different religions, different cultures. And my belief from that now is all religion has truth. All religion is beautiful. There's beauty in it all, but it sent me on a spiritual quest from a very young age. But I was always doing what I loved, and I was always optimistic and always could see the gift in anything from a young age. And I was very blessed to go to an amazing school. It was a Catholic school and I wasn't Catholic. So hence my fascination of, I'm Greek Orthodox and now I'm here, of, what's going on here with this religion. And yeah, so it made me very aware. So going through my life, I've lived a very human life, going out partying in London, mixing with everybody and anyone from a very young age of like 16. I had a lot of confidence. And I think probably seeing my dad nearly die and get a chance to be reborn again made me appreciate life from a young age, made me live my life. And I wasn't always so connected. I would say that I disconnected, I went out, I partied. And so I have a lot of empathy for that. So, yes. I'm trying to think what else is really relevant on my story of my life. I have always coached people. A coach and an actor isn't something I went, oh, I'm going to be a coach. Oh, I'm going to be an actor. Acting is always something I loved from a very young age. I loved it because it was an expression of self. It was a way to express self. And I think acting is very cathartic. It gets you to play out parts of yourself. It gets you to integrate parts of self. And not enough credit is given for how acting is very cathartic, but in general, we act in different areas of our life all the time. So acting has always been very healing for me, hence why I bring it into everything that I do. And in my journey, it was always there. I think when you're passionate about something, it will always come back to you no matter what it is. And for me, I think because I've seen so much and I've seen so many characters around me, I'm able to embody that and express myself through that. But as I was working, I had to work. I was working at 15 and I was top regional salesperson at Direct Line Insurance. And when I was working, I was training everyone else. And what I loved was training everyone, helping everyone. So it was when I fell into coaching, because I did fall into it, I was like, oh, I'm on this CTI course. I've always done this. I've always given back. I've always taught. If I've become successful, I've always taught others how to become successful. I've always loved that. If I've managed to, even when I was young, if I had a formula for doing my CV or an interview, I would be helping the next person next to me if they were struggling. Like it's just always who I've been. And when I found myself studying coaching, I didn't know what it was. I ended up on this course and I was like, oh, okay, that sounds good. I'm just going to pay for that. And I was like, oh, this is everything I've always done my whole life. But I didn't think to do it for money because it was something naturally that I've always done. And I think because I do come from my parents having lots of adversity and the fact they couldn't rise again after that. My parents both didn't work. They were both depressed. So in essence, my parents were unemployed and they didn't work. We didn't go anywhere. We stayed at home all the time. I've learned so much around it isn't about what you get. It isn't about things. It doesn't matter if you go to work. It doesn't matter if you stay at home. All another human being wants is your connection. All another human being wants is your time. And so if you're staying at home looking after your children, you can't give that to them because you're so stressed and you want to be using creativity. That's not wrong. It's better to give your time to them for like 10 minutes in that day, but really connect. Same in a relationship. So we're sold all these illusions of what success is. But really, all humans want is connection, and all humans really desire is love. And I learned that at a young age. And I think going through everything I've been through in my life and getting married and getting divorced, and coming from the childhood I came from, which was I used to sit at home, reading the Bible and reading Proverbs out of a Proverbs book to get me through some of my childhood. For me, it's important. It's more important than sitting down and coaching one person. I think that my message gets to anyone and everyone. And if that person's sitting at home and they feel alone and they're a child, or they're an adult or a young, this book is for men, right? So they're a man and they feel alone, that they can read the book, they can listen to one of my videos. For me, that's more important because I was that person with no money, nothing. I was at home and I didn't have much guidance, and I've become who I am today. And I want everyone to know that they can do it. They can. And the thing is, it's not doing it, because there is no it. There is nowhere to go when we die. It's just our soul. It's just our heart. It's just who we have become, how we've treated every life force. That's all that really we bring with us. It's one big illusion that we've got something to do anyway. But I think it helps along the way to share our gifts and to, do you know, it's pulled me out of my darkest times. You know, it's pulled me out of that. You know, any time when I felt down, I've concentrated on, well, what can I give to someone else? And when you're in that giving mode, you've got no room to be depressed. You just haven't. And so, yeah, whilst it's lovely to feel your sadness, always remember the way through is you have something, you have a gift, you have something that somebody else needs, that you'll lift their heart somehow. Just never forget that. Just by being you, just by your smile. That's it, you know, just smiling at someone.
All right. Thank you, Marina, for sharing your story so candidly. And I must tell you that a lot of your story resonates with my story, because I lost my father. He passed away. I mean, unlike your father, he didn't survive, but he passed away. He was ill for some time and he passed away when I was 8 years old.
Oh,
And
wow.
like you, I've seen life very closely, like you said, because from a very protected childhood, because my father was the only earning member,
Yeah.
and my mother was a homemaker who had
Yeah.
never worked a single day in her life. And then I saw my mother struggling to make ends meet, because we also got cheated out of our ancestral property and things like that. So we've seen life very closely. And like you, I also began my first job at the age of 16 as a teenager, and it started with sales training programs,
Oh,
because
wow.
that's what I used to do. What I used to do in the organization that I started working for, which was a newspaper called Indian Express, and therein began my journey as a entrepreneur. And it's so a lot of what you shared echoes my sentiments and resonates with my thoughts. So tell me, what did you feel when you were like 9 years old and your father was diagnosed with cancer, and you had to put your acting career, which you wanted to chase, that was your passion right from childhood, you had to put that on the back burner? How did you feel at that time? What are the emotions that you were dealing with at that time?
It was really difficult because I resonate with the masculine, because for me, my mum was very strict. She was like, you're not allowed to cry, Marina. And so I was the oldest daughter as well. So I wasn't allowed to cry. I had nowhere to go. My dad was more the nurturer. Next thing you know, I had nowhere to go with quite a lot of emotions. And then I think acting was an outlet, and I was bullied at school as well because I looked different and I was different and I was outspoken. So I was bullied at school and I found acting, and I had a way out of that school into another school, only for my mum not to let me. She was like, no, you want to be a lawyer. You want to be a lawyer. I was like, well, no, well, actually, I want to do acting, but, you know, maybe I want to be a lawyer. I don't know. And I just had to stay at this school and continue being bullied and have all this adversity. And I just remember it being a very low time in my life. I remember it being like, what's the point? Honestly, I remember that probably being one of the lowest times. And I was so young. And I just think, as a child, look, we don't know what's going to happen next. You know, there's so much emphasis on being academic. So many children are pushed into being academic. But the truth in the matter is, AI's come in. The nature of jobs are changing. The only thing we're going to need is our creativity and our passion and our joy. That's what makes us different anyway, and how we communicate. And so never block that from anyone. And I think as parents, quite often, being a parent myself, I understand we have our own fears, we have our own conditioning. We think our life has been this way. We don't want our child's life to be that way. But it's their journey.
Right.
And you must get out of that way. Now, at the same time, I see that as a gift, because my parents, You know, I was academic. I got all A's and B's. I'm very logical. I studied the science. I studied philosophy and science. And so it allowed me to be a rounded person, and it allowed me to always fall back on my academic. You know, I'd go into a law firm, I'd train the sales team, I'd go into all the creative agencies, and I'd be speaking to all of them. So even though my parents blocked it, it was still a gift, because it's enabled me to be who I am.
Right.
And, you know, sometimes we just have to work with what we got. So if you're somebody going through this, I would say, okay, there will be a gift. And unfortunately, if you like it or not, you know, people can block you, but what's for you will keep coming back for you. I mean, sometimes I don't even do anything with my acting, and another opportunity appears, and I'm like, oh, it's just for me. It's just one of these things. And I just think, just keep in your heart, because it's not about the end goal. So many people like look at others and they're like, oh, that they're doing this and they're doing that. It's about the love for it. And when you're lit up and when you love something and when you're in that purity, it's your creativity just vibrates at a different level. It's just, you become love embodied. It's the highest form of love.
Right.
So do it, and don't ever let no one stop you.
Absolutely, I agree with you. But something I picked from what you were saying is that you were raised like a male child. You were, and that's why you relate more with your masculine traits. And all of us have the masculine and feminine traits. But research shows you that male children who are brought up to think strong, to think tough, and not cry, have basic socio-emotional problems, right? What are your thoughts on that?
I would totally resonate and totally agree with that, because you're blocking
Because
us.
this entire myth and nonsense of men don't cry is completely bunkum, and that's what actually messes up a lot of men, because they can't get in touch with their inner self, the inner emotions, the inner feelings. I would like to know your thoughts more on this, if you could unpack that for us, as a coach, as a person who's been brought up like a male child in the house, who was not allowed to cry, who was not allowed to be weak. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's a lot of weight to carry. And I did cry, but I cried by myself in my bedroom when no one could see.
Yeah,
And
but
there
you're
was,
not allowed to show your emotions,
you're
right?
not allowed. So there was shame.
Yes.
And
It's
I never,
stigmatized.
it's stigmatized. And you have to be strong. And, you know, you have to be strong. Like, you know, you're going to the hospital, Marina, don't you dare cry. I was like,
Right.
oh, okay. So where do you go with that? And it creates a part of you to be wrong. And we're sold this thing of how you should be. And again, it's not because these people don't love us, or it's their own fears because they haven't been able to express their emotions. And then it's projected onto the next generation. And it's because they're scared. And to know that through my coaching, when I first done process coaching, which is the deep embodiment work where you process emotions through your body, I never forget that I was in a space where I was allowed to cry, and this was like, you're not fixed. We're not going to mother you or anything like that. We're just going to allow you, because it's just an emotion. Just like happiness is just an emotion. And that weekend, or that experiential learning, I cried all weekend. And it was one of the most cathartic times of my life.
Absolutely, because I always say, crying and letting go of your tears actually cleanses your soul. It cleanses your spirit. It's emotional, mental, spiritual catharsis. It's therapeutic, and I think that's a big lesson for all the parents out there, especially the parents of male children, because even today, in a lot of households, men are taught to be tough, boys are taught to be tough, that boys don't cry and stuff like that and nonsense like that. It's absolute hogwash. And I think there's a great life lesson for parents and for children out here. It's okay to cry. It's all right to cry. It's absolutely fine to cry and to let go, because you're just another human being, just like anybody else, no matter what gender you're from, right? So coming to your book, a very unusual title, and I know sometimes unusual titles sell books, love the fuck out of everything. But I would like to know more about the title. But I would also like to know what inspired you to write a book as a woman? Of course, you've given me a little background about being brought up like a male child, but what inspired you to write a book for men? Because I mean, as a woman, uh, I would feel that you would relate more to women, and it could be an absolute misconception. But what is the reason that you chose to write? Like, when I chose to write true stories of real heroes, for me the intent was very clear, that the children and the youth of today need to know who the real heroes are, because just mere celebrities who we treat as heroes, whether they are actors, and I know you're an actor, but whether they're actors or movie stars or sports stars, they are real screen heroes, right? They're not real life heroes. So I tell stories of real life heroes because I think the children, the youth, need to be able to differentiate about what heroism truly is, right? What are real heroes all about? Because real heroes are all about people who are making a difference and bringing about a change in the world. And that's what actually defines success, because success is actually about the contributions that you make in this world, in this society, to humanity. It's not just about making a lot of money and gaining a lot of fame. That's at least my concept of success, in my humble opinion. So what inspired you to write this book, Love the Fuck Out of Everything? What is the theme all about? Why is it written for men specifically? What is the reason that you chose to write for men? And what is the thought and the mindset and the intent behind that title? So a lot of questions rolled into one. Over to you.
So I just want to come back to what you're saying about a hero. And look, my belief is we're all heroes. You are a hero if you've got up today. You are a hero. You matter. Your life matters. You are the hero. Everyone's a hero.
Right.
Okay.
I agree with that. That everyone is the hero of their own story, but the differentiator is: are you doing something to make the earth better, to make the world better? Are you doing something, no matter how small or how big, but are you creating a significant change and making a difference? That's what we mean by real heroes. Just to clarify. Over to you again.
Yeah. And also, that is just even smiling at somebody in the street.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with
You
you.
are a hero. If that's all you can do right now, if you're struggling, if you're, that's okay. You are still a hero and your life is significant. And as you said, don't give anyone power outside of yourself
True.
to
True.
think that your life is just as valuable as a screen actor or these people you see. No one's above, no one's below.
Very true.
Everyone's life is significant, including yours. And, you are significant. You are loved.
Right.
So, returning back to my title now, the reason why I picked this title is it's a little bit controversial, but I wanted to keep it really real, because coming into the self-help industry, well, I've always been in it since I was very young. And, that's when I first, at 9 or 10, I started reading Neil Donald Walsh's books, Conversations with God, right? But really going deep into it, I would say the last, 11, 12 years, I just got to a stage where I was like, there's not realness and there's disconnect from emotions. And it's like, now we're spiritual, now we disconnect from our emotions. Like sadness is wrong, being and then other things are made wrong and there's lots of shame and people are confused. So I wanted to create this book. And the reason why I started with it, I was like, what resonates with me? And it was who was coming to me. There was men coming to me. Male suicide is up 200%. And because of the way I am and what I put out there, and I'm very open and very honest in my social media, men were coming to me and saying, look, Marina, this is what I'm struggling with. And men were struggling with relationships and sex. And there was nowhere for them to talk about this. There was nowhere for them to have a conversation, because there was this culture of men helping other men. And I get that. But sometimes I was seeing some of these books that they were reading and listening to, and I was thinking, this isn't what a woman wants. This isn't like, and I started to get a little bit frustrated. And there needs to be a different narrative. There needs to be a different voice. And maybe I have that strong connection with my dad, and seeing him get ill and what he went through, being an entrepreneur, working himself to the bone. I will always have that maternal element and nurturing element and love for men. My dad and me have definitely got a strong soul contract. I love him with all of my heart. And, you know, if I can help other men not burn themselves out, not live in shame, not make themselves ill, not suffer with their mental health, if I can help by just being honest and given an open, honest dialogue. Now, the concept of the book was, it's around love, sex, and relationships. You know, there's no shame in any of that. And I wanted it to be simple questions and answers. Like, I don't know, what's your opinion on how do you make love? What's your opinion on relationships or divorce? Or I wanted it to be like a guy could just flick through and go, I've got a question. What would Marina think? So I give some of my perspectives and my learnings, but then I also give my life experience. Because guess what? I'm a human being, and aren't we all? And I have lived. So I am not going to pretend that I've got it all figured out or I'm some guru. I'm me, and I want you to be you. I want you to choose your own path. I want you to work through your emotions. And the reason of the title, Love the Fuck Out of Everything, I'm bringing some humor in. Because again, I don't want people can be so heavy, especially for men. And they're like, oh my God, it doesn't have to be heavy. We can make this fun. You know, it's okay to swear. It's okay, you know, it's okay to look at these topics like making love and, you know, life in general as a whole, not as separate. And what we do is people put things in boxes because of the way the society's being run.
Right.
And we don't realize that we're always making love with everyone because it's just energy.
Right.
And so the book is to go, okay, it's for a guy to go, and then to go, look, yeah, you need presence and the power of now, but you also need a fantasy. You also need a vision. And I'm kind of being, some of my beliefs maybe even contradict themselves, but they're real. And they come from my real life experience too. And I just come from a place of just getting tired myself of like listening to fake gurus and people not being real. And you can tell like they're not having a happy relationship and they don't like their wife and they're going, I love my wife, I love my wife, I love my wife. And you're like, okay, we get it. You know, and it's like, and I just got tired. And I was like, Marina, let's just be fucking real. Let's be fucking real and allow other people to be fucking real from where they are with no shame. And so, yeah, that's where the book was born for my 40th birthday. The idea is that people can just pick it up and they've got, I'm going through this problem. What would Marina say? But I don't want them to do what I do. I want them to go, okay, well, this is what she done. This is what I can do.
Right. Okay, so you kind of finding humor in the title. You're trying to keep the subject light. And like I always say, humor is a great leveler and a great balancer. It helps you to say a lot of tough things without by taking away the edge. So what do you think is the reason only men have the pressure to, because somewhere in your book you address the issues of sex and making love, and you say that when it's about sex, there's a lot of pressure on men to perform and things like that. Do you think it's only a male skewed thing that the male has to perform,
No.
or does it work both ways?
I think
cut both ways?
I think it's both ways, because obviously this is my learning, but the reason why I was like, look, the way you make love is the way you live your life, right?
Okay.
So I'm bringing awareness.
Just unpack that for us, that the way you make love is the way you live your life. I mean, I could argue that Jeffrey Epstein is to make love like an animal, right? So are you saying that he lived his life like I mean, why am I saying like an animal? Animals are much better than human beings, but like an absolute scoundrel, right? So are you trying to say that the way people relate to making love, people relate to sex, is the way they become?
I think that if you're very disconnected and you can't connect to yourself, it's harder to connect to another human. And so that I put it in the whole, you're then in the fucking mode. So it's almost like you're fucking yourself over and you're fucking everyone else. Now, it's about dropping into your heart, right? And so often I've met people that have just gone for the next thing and the next woman and the next car and the next thing. And it's almost, as you said, they're not living a life of service. And I don't want to judge. This is not about judgment, but this is about, like, sometimes it's too painful to drop into your heart.
No, I'm sure there are studies which prove that, because the reason I was asking you this question was I was provoking some insights, and I was kind of trying to trigger some thoughts, because research does show you that the way you relate with you know, the sexual mindset that you have, which could be like, you know, just kind of fleeting from one woman to another woman, and that shows that people have some major trust issues, major relationship issues, and it's a form of escapism. So I'm sure there's a lot of truth in what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, but without judgment. So there's an element of, this is to love the fuck out of everything. To change anything, you have to love it, whatever it is.
Right.
So if you're in that stage, you have to love the fuck out of, you know, it's almost like, to change anything, you love where it's at, and you don't make it wrong. You don't cause shame. You know that you're doing the best you can with the tools that you've got. And sometimes we look at it and we don't have time to reflect and go, is this serving my soul? Is this what I want? Am I just on a wheel here? Do I feel good after this? Right. And the reason why I bring sex in, especially when it comes to men, is lots of men came to me with these problems. And the thing is, in society, well, where do men go? Where do people go? Like, we're seeing, you know, there's the issues around porn. There's issues around not being able to talk freely in society. And so people don't know who to speak to or what's right and what's wrong. So then there's shame for men on performance and size and things like this. And it's like, but that comes from women. And then that comes from control. But I've had guys speak to me almost like they want to end it all because of these topics. And I'm like, who's talking about this? Two men, women-wise. I'm going, actually, that's not what it's about. It's about connecting soul to soul level. It's about building a connection, having common values. It's about real intimacy, which sometimes is in complete silence. And it's not in physical touch even. It's just sitting there staring into someone's eyes. And it's given a different perspective, actually, as well, from my own learnings. My own way, I've gone, how was I disconnected? How didn't I understand this? Well, there was no one to talk to around this when I grew up even. There was nowhere to have these conversations. And even now it's seen as a very taboo. It's like in the scriptures and things, it's not talked about a lot.
Right.
You know, the act of sex is beautiful. And actually, it's very natural. We are always, in essence, using our energy and our life force. And, you know, it's synthetic energy exchange. We're always exchanging energy. So it's being consciously aware of, who do I want to exchange my energy with? What energy I want to exchange? And bringing awareness to men, because there's no conversations out there that are honest and frank around this.
Right.
To really, you know, go, okay, you know what, there is a different way. And it's okay that this has led you up to here and now. That there is a different way.
So are you also creating some courses around this for men, women, and people from all genders? I mean,
yeah, well, I mean, I started with men because men were coming to me, and I always believe whoever comes to you is always the first, passion. But it's for me, one of my visions was this year that I had a vision about going to India and doing an event around love. Now, I'm born on Valentine's Day.
Right.
This is the reason why I wrote the book as well, because, you know, I'm born on this day about love. And I look for love outside of myself, only to realize that you are love. And every connection you share with everyone is so beautiful and so important. It's not that one person. And so I wanted to, in my vision of this event in India, it wasn't about a stage. It wasn't about me going to speak. And it was like, everyone's on the floor. We're all together. We're all in circles. We are all one. There's candles, there's connection, there's intimacy. Everyone's holding hands. And it's like almost sharing experiences and connecting on a higher frequency, because for me, that's what love is. It's not, oh, I'm above you on a stage and I'm going to sell you the dream of coming to a Western world, which, to be honest with you, is a load of bullshit. Because, you know, or I'm going to come here to get something. It's like, no, it's to give and to give back and to remind people, do you know what all that really matters is true, deep connection, and to get back to the essence that we are all one and we are all connected. And for me, the vision of that, I don't know what else will come of it, but it's on the floor. It's not on a stage. It's together. It's candles. And hypnosis is one of my most powerful things that's changed my life. I gave birth at home with no medication at 7 a.m, down to the time, through hypnosis. You change your subconscious mind through hypnosis. And that simply is, before you go to bed, your brain goes into theta. And when you wake up, your brain's into theta. So even just being around others with that light, sharing your prayers, sharing your energy in that intent, when you're in that vibrational energy, is so powerful. And to say, if I can do this, you can rise, we can all rise in love.
Right. Very nice. Excellent. And I wish you all the best. I think you should work on creating some courses, not just for men, but for people from all genders, because in today's world, on one side, you have a whole lot of organizations, whether they're business organizations or UN organizations or not-for-profit organizations. They all celebrate DEI Day or DEI Week, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. But when it comes to true inclusion, you don't see the dots getting connected, right? You still see a lot of stigma with people from the LGBTQIA community, right? They are kind of ostracized, they are stigmatized. I mean, I think people need to understand and develop a mindset to understand that people can have their own sexual preferences as long as they're not harming anybody, right? But on one side in this world, you have, and you in your profile, you speak about how you like to unmask society's lies. And then you spoke somewhere about fake gurus. So on one side, you have a blatant act of child sex abuse by the Dalai Lama, which is covered up as a cultural act, as an act of culture, Tibetan culture. Well, even in Tibetan culture, no one kisses their children on the lips. So even before you said "suck my tongue," which is partially Tibetan culture, even before you said that, you actually pulled that young boy and kissed him smack on the lips. As a parent, I don't kiss my children on the lips. I don't think most parents do that, right? So that in itself is an act of child sex abuse. But the entire thing is getting covered up by spin doctorism and trollism right now. So when you speak about fake gurus, what are you talking about? And what are your insights on how people blindly believe and blindly follow people? And that's become one of the biggest concerning factors of the world today.
I think what people don't realize is that they have the power and that they need to trust themselves and their own intuition. And sometimes when we're vulnerable and we're going through hardship, we try to look to another, and that's okay.
That's the reason all the fake gurus strive, because people don't really know what they want to do and they're looking for guidance and direction. And these people actually misdirect them. I completely agree with you. Yes, thank you.
I think it's always good to keep your own self, and it's always good to trust your intuition and look at things objectively. So, have an objective mind, look at things balanced, and think, okay, what is this person really putting out there? And I know that the most of the spiritual leaders that I've ever admired go in the togetherness and the air of love. And it's not about disconnecting from your emotions. We're human beings, and I don't believe in that. And that's where I would always be a bit like, be a bit careful, because okay, love and fuck off. That's why there's an element of, you need a boundary. There's an element, if somebody's being really disrespectful and not kind, and you can see their darkness, and sometimes you can really see darkness around someone, you can send them love.
Absolutely.
It doesn't mean that you
can sense it, you can feel it. Yeah.
But you don't have to have them around you. You don't have to have them, And again, I think there's that element of that, you know, in religion and in society, which is like love and forgiveness. Yes, I get that, but be careful, because you can't bypass your emotions. And if you are angry or you're getting a visceral response around someone, that's your intuition. Don't not listen to that and bypass that. And this is the thing, right, with some of these icons, and it is all coming out at the moment to say to you and the individual, look, let's not judge, but at the same time, claim your power, know who you are, know that you are the guru, you are the guru, you are the wise one, you are the, you know, creator. Your path is, you know, your path's so different, right? And I had this awareness at a book launch that I done recently, you know, last year. And I was speaking to a really famous author, and he was like, Marina, I just channel God. I don't read people's books. I channel God. And another person was like, read my book, read my book, read my book. And I was like, they're both right. He had to read 100 books, and the other person sat in silence and channeled God. Both are right. Neither are wrong. My message isn't do what I'm doing. I would never say, read my book, read my book. I would never, you know, do what you've got to do. If you want to read it, read it. If it in something inspires you, pick it up. If it doesn't. If you want to sit there and meditate, you do that. Because guess what? You only know you. There will be people that claim that they know you. They will study you. They will act in a way that they think you need to hear this, and they're trying to tell you this, whatever they think you need to hear. You know. You will have a feeling about this person. Is this coming from authenticity? And always remember, you need to hear that from you. Reclaim your power and ask yourself, what is the best way for me? What is my best path? Because just because blah, blah, done it this way, and now they're in this life and it looks great. Well, quite often, you know, I was in the Maldives sitting there and thinking, what the hell am I doing on this beach in the Maldives? I'm not living my passion. I'm not living my purpose. I'm not giving back. It looks like a nice picture, but actually I'm not fulfilling my soul.
True.
So
very true.
We get fed these images of, oh, this is what success is. It's not. It's being true to yourself and being kind and being loving and being you and trusting you. Being
right. I completely agree with you that those are the images, those are the fake iconry, idolry, and I call it idol worship, which is sold to us and peddled to us. And I completely, resonate with your thoughts, because as a coach, I always tell people in my talks and my workshops that if any so-called enlightened spiritual guru or coach like me can tell you what to do with your life, give you direction and tell you who you are, be very careful. We are frauds, we are fakes, because there's only one guru in the world who can tell you what to do with your life and who you are and what is the direction you need to be going into, and that is you. Right? Nobody else can tell you. And the entire concept of enlightenment has got so bastardized over the years that, people think that enlightenment means that they know everything. Well, you're just a mere mortal, just another human being. So no matter who you are, you could be the Pope, you could be the Dalai Lama, you could be the so-called most enlightened guru in the world, but you can't know everything.
No.
So learn to know when to zip it in STFU, right? Because but people who call themselves enlightened actually make comments on things which they don't even know. Right. So we have another guy called Sadhguru in India who talks a lot of nonsense all the time. He actually laughs at people who are sharing about their depression with him. Which kind of a guru laughs at people who are sharing about their mental health and depression? And this guy's sitting over there and laughing.
It's so interesting because I know someone, and I know an LA director who's friends with him. It's such an interesting one. I just think, you know what, just trust yourself.
Absolutely. 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 I completely agree with you, Marina. And I mean, my sentiments, like I said, are echoing with your sentiments and thoughts. And the other thing which you spoke about is forgiveness. Well, it's good to forgive. And I think it's important as human beings to learn how to forgive. But I find it very bizarre when and you said you practice Christianity. I don't know if you still practice Christianity, but you are brought up in the Catholic faith. I mean, that's what your upbringing has been. I was born in a family that practices Christianity, but I don't believe in any religion or any God now. But the point is,
just to interrupt, I'm the same. I believe all religion has truth.
Right.
But
Yes, but
I believe everyone is
as
you're one.
long as people practice the truth, especially the so-called custodians of that religion practice the truth. So you have the Vatican City, the Roman Catholic Church, where priests have been abusing children for years. Pedophilia has been rampant and stark in the church, and they've been in denial for years. It took a special cell in the Chicago Tribune to expose them, right? And then they stood exposed, but you still have cases of pedophilia. And then in 2019 the Pope makes a remark, well, I've forgiven all the priests for the crimes they have done. Well, who are you to forgive them? Just because you're the Pope doesn't give you a right to forgive them. They've abused children. They need to be imprisoned. They need to serve a sentence for them to get some forgiveness. The Lama did the same thing. And I think herein lies the hypocrisy of religion and religious leaders, that you think you have this magnanimity to forgive all the priests who've done wrong. It's for the children to forgive them. It's for the parents of the children to forgive them. It's not for you as the Pope to say, I forgive all the priests. I think that's absolutely bizarre and against any kind of moral law or legal code. But those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, when you talk of this, it just brings me so much sadness. And it's the sadness of, number one, this is the right reason why I talk about sex in my book, because we have to look at the root cause. Now, popes don't have a relationship, right? So they're told to live a life of celibacy.
Oh, that's what they say in public.
That's what they say,
Many
but
of them have had relationships. Yeah.
But then they're doing this, right? So
Right.
it's just like prime example of what you repress. And in the religion, it's repressed. And it's like, well, what do they go with that? And when you keep stuff in the darkness, when you repress it and when you don't talk about it is when abuse happens. So let's talk about it. Let's get the shame out.
And I absolutely agree with that. And I've been writing to the Vatican City and to the people that let the priests get married. It will stop pedophilia and a lot of sex crimes within the church, because there's sex crimes even against women happening. It's happening in the Buddhist order also. Again, the Dalai Lama says, I forgave all the monks. But I can go on this.
I just think, look, there is an element of, like, when I speak about it, it brings me so much sadness. And what is it? Okay, if people hurt true children, they've also killed the inner child or hurt the inner child within them. And so this inner child within them has been hurt. This inner child and thing has been repressed. It's been hurt. So then, because that hasn't been healed, they're hurting children, right? So how can we do that? How can we stop that? How can we stop that happening? How can we stop that? You know, and then how can we give away, like, how can we make sure children and people and adults can talk about all this openly, so people don't create these things in society, which for me, when I talk about it, I can feel myself getting angry, and righteously so, because it's a pure life. It's not, it's something that it's unacceptable. And to just cast over it as acceptable and to bypass anger, it's not working, is it? Because look what's happening to society at the moment.
True. And the reason you let all this, larger than life idols that we have kind of put on pedestals get away with these acts of child sex abuse and almost get away with murder. You have the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world who are running wild all over, and these are serious evil crimes, right? And I think that needs to be addressed. But we'll discuss this topic some other time in more detail. I want to know more about the Marina method that you have created, where you speak about how you kind of blended hypnosis with neuroscience and some other acts, and what is co-active coaching all about? As a coach, I would like to know more about that and more about the Marina method. What is the Marina method truly about, and how did you go about creating it?
I think I created it from my life experience, from what worked for me. Obviously, I've had different training, like the co-active coaching that you bring in, which was the first coaching to come out of the US. And the co-active coaching model is probably one of the most credible. It's used in a lot of corporate. I certified in that. But really and truly, you can't really follow a model. It's about being with an individual. It's about tuning into them. It's about understanding them and what they need. And everyone's really different. And so I use my experience and my life experience and my intuition to see what that person needs. And then it's bringing things in like acting, because it's very cathartic, whether or not you need to reenact the anger and let it go, whether or not you need to then reenact the forgiveness and let it go. The acting of a vision of something can actually put in yourself there. It's, you know, these acting moments in life prepare us for the future and prepare us for the next path, but also allow release, allow forgiveness. Now, emotions do store in our body, and you can hear when I get angry about some of this stuff, like, emotions are stored. So, you know, it's okay, like, it to process and to be able to move forward is essential. You know, it's okay to cry. And this is why I bring humor in, because you can cry and release, and then you can still laugh like 10 minutes later. You're not going to get stuck there. Many men, when they're angry and they come to me and they're angry and they're really, okay, then I'm like, what do you want to do with your body? And they're punching and they're going for it. And I'm like, okay, because I'm doing it. Okay, I'll do it too. I'm not making it wrong. They cry. And they haven't cried for years. And
so what you're saying is that you bring in a lot of neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and, you know, even in Gestalt, we do a lot of role plays. So you bring in all those elements and reenact issues that people are kind of battling with, concerns that people are trying to address. Is that what you're saying? Is that what the Marina method is?
Yes. I mean, everyone's individual. So to say, you know, it's just like this compared to what it is with each individual, you have to sit with the individual and tune into them. Like me, I didn't prepare for this. I'm like, I'm here, I'm co-creating, I'm seeing what's coming up with Jerry right now. And we're on, it's the same. It's almost like, this is when I've done corporate coaching and they want to tick the stuff off in the box. Well, if somebody's had a really bad day with their marriage and they're really upset and they need to cry or whatever, then they need to let that emotion out in that session. I'm not ticking off the box. So there's the element of, like, humans are fluid, humans change. And so putting people in boxes, personality profiling them, doing this, it's not about that. It's about real connection. It's about
I completely agree with you, and I am not a big fan of personality profiling, because I think a lot of the psychometric tests, like you said, put people in the box. I actually practice another science, which is a very ancient 10,000-year-old science called Enneagram. And Enneagram teaches you how to dissolve the box, because how do you kind of get the best of the virtues so that you can reduce and eliminate, maybe not eliminate, but reduce the vices. But some people who, you know, kind of practice this at a very high level can also eliminate the vices. I don't know if you know of the science called Enneagram.
I do, Jerry, and I have to tell you, I done that test and came out one score.
Okay.
And then I've done it 3 months later and came out another score. And
all right. So the insight over here is that a lot of people who do the test actually tell you that you're a type 7 or a type 8 or a type 9. But the first thing is Enneagram coaches are not supposed to tell people what type they are. They're supposed to guide them and lead them to understand what type they are by taking them through the entire process. So that's an insight for you on Enneagram. So I mean, I
understand. I've worked with an Enneagram coach, and I understand. But again, the reason why I think it's a little bit crap, you know, like all personality profiles, is if I'm around a lot of energy of a certain people, and I am an energy person, sometimes I convey that energy because I'm around it. And it's the element of, you know, energy and all the rest of it. So I think sometimes if you're not an energy person, maybe you're just always going to be one type. But if you're around different energy so there's an element of, okay, these tools are there, they might help you. But again, it's another sales technique as far as I'm concerned. All of them, 360 personality profiling, Myers-Briggs, I think they're all
MBTI is a derivative of Enneagram. But hey, I must tell you, in the world of coaching, there are a lot of quacks who actually kind of misuse coaching, because in coaching, you're not supposed to give advice or tell people who they are or what they are. You're supposed to kind of generate insight for them, what we call as walls of insight. You're supposed to dance with them so that you can help them to
course.
figure out who they really are and where they are. You take them through the process, right? But
And
but the,
even doing that test
but yes,
would beg to differ. Even if you knew it, would that cause some judgment? And so what I love to teach is get rid of the judgment, get rid of the boxes, and who's
absolutely,
showing up today.
absolutely,
Element is you can choose to be reborn every day. Life changes every day. And I
absolutely,
want to encourage more of human connection,
right,
away from boxes, away from tests, away from giving someone a color. Oh,
true,
you're red today. What a load of crap.
true.
Like,
Uh,
I'm just
yeah,
honestly, I'm just
absolutely.
like, because it's just money making as far as I'm
Yeah,
concerned.
absolutely. And whether it's co-active coaching or life
Yeah,
coaching or NLP
yeah.
coaching or Enneagram coaching, you're not supposed to tell people who they are or what type they are.
Right.
You're supposed to generate insight for them. And like I always say, it's just simply about making people think about their own thinking and about how they can think about improving their thinking, so that with the improved thinking, they can find insights for the concerns that they're facing. And that actually is what coaching is all about. But many people that I know who love promoting themselves as coaches actually end up giving advice and telling people what to do with their lives rather than helping them to figure out their own way. So I
Their own
think that is
path.
something which all the coaches who are watching should understand. Don't give people advice, don't give people solutions, help them to find the solutions to their own concerns. So
And
Marina, I'm
people
happy that you and I
persevere.
resonate on this. And finally, Marina, to come to the concluding part, I had shared with you the storytelling tutorial, and since you started writing books now, I wanted to gain your insight on this. And because some of the insights that you share over here would be very helpful for young students, children, youth who want to embark on their journey as writers. And over time, as a person who started writing true stories of real heroes, I've been following a method. Part of it is based on the hero journey by Joseph Campbell, right? And in the hero's journey, of course, you have an ordinary world where I'm just living in my world, and of course, then there's a call to adventure. If you've seen a movie called To Kill a Mockingbird, right? Those are your 12 steps. There's the ordinary world, there's a call to adventure, there's a refusal where you want to do it, but you feel you should not do it because there could be repercussions, there could be consequences. And then you have a mentor helper who helps you to find the way and cross the threshold. And then you create a proof of concept and test it with your friends and enemies, and then you have the approach, and that leads to the entire ordeal that you're facing, the reward, what is the road back, the atonement, and the return, right? And any story requires a hero, a villain, and a victim, right? For example, even in your book, you are the hero because you found yourself in the journey of your life, through all the ups and downs that you've gone through all the breaks that you faced in your life, the brokenness that you faced in your life, and yet you refuse to break down despite having a parent who fell gravely ill at the young age of 9, then going through your marriage, going through your divorce. There have been several breaks and brokenness, but you refuse to break down and you've broken through, right? And that makes you the hero. And the villain is the all the circumstances that you're battling right from childhood to now. And the victims now that you are trying to kind of help are the people who are battling similar issues, with whom you can resonate, with whom you can kind of identify, and you are using your life experiences and your journey, your learning as a coach, to help them to find their own way and find their own path. So how would you go about writing a book? Let's say you had to write I mean, besides writing a self-help book about love, sex, therapy for men, if you had to go about writing a book about your own life story, how would you go about doing it, and treat this like a tutorial for the young students and the young children who would be gaining from your expertise and your insights?
Wow. I mean, obviously, my book does talk about that. So in my book, I share my experiences honestly. And I would say, looking at this triangle, I would say there'll be times in your life where you want to fall into being the victim. And that feels nice. It might feel nice. And you might tell your story and tell that. And the thing is, if you stay there and you make someone else a villain and you make somebody else the hero, So it's an element of the way through is to always give back, to know, my thing would be the analogy of the heart, to always go back to your heart, to always go, because that will teach you, that will guide you. I see like a little person just always carrying their heart, like a green heart, and, losing their heart along the way, but always picking it back up. And I see that. And then how you do that is you love the victim within you. You love that part of you and you nurture that, but you don't no longer play that. You love the part of you that might have been the villain at some stage, but you no longer play that. You don't get stuck in this drama triangle that so often people do. And you know that you are the hero, that you are the person you've been looking for. We're sold very romantic ideas that it's about finding the love of your life, or if someone's married now they're successful. That's not true. You are everything you need. You are it, which is a beautiful big heart of love. So, which is green, the heart chakra is green, right? So that's radiating from you. And the more that you just love and appreciate everyone along the way, like me, I mean, like such, gratitude and honor that I'm on this podcast, and there's nowhere else in the world or no one else I'd want to be with right now than you. But when I was looking for love outside of myself and looking for this romantic idea, I'd be thinking, oh, what if Mr. Right walked through the door right now? And by doing that, by living this illusion, we miss out on life and we don't enjoy what is. And I want everyone to know that you are perfect. You are love. And of course, we're all imperfect as well, but you're perfectly imperfect. And it's
Right.
all
I like that, because I always say, perfection is the biggest lie of the world. It's our
okay.
journey to keep excelling and pursue excellence, through continuous improvement, by understanding how we can keep bettering ourselves. So I'm happy that you kind of clarified that. Yeah, we're
But it's
perfectly
growth.
imperfect.
But it's
Yeah.
growth, isn't it? It's like the more we grow and the more we have compassion for self and love for self, like
Right.
we said about these different parts, the more we can go, do you know what? My mum and dad done the best they possibly could.
Right.
And they loved me and I've made the other stories up. And, the more that we can keep stepping into this, the more that we can go, do you know what? It's a gift, because if I hadn't picked them as my parents,
Mm.
and almost gain that responsibility of this is your life and you are creating it all, you just it just propels you, and it's just thanking somebody, like, and just having that gratitude will give you so much joy. And that's all it is. It's very simple. It's knowing that you do have meaning just for being you.
Right. Very nice. Excellent. And to conclude, Marina, I was just making some notes about all that you were sharing with us. And to conclude, are there any thoughts, any insights, any life lessons that you would like to leave our audience with? And thank you, everyone who's joined us on Facebook Live, for joining. And I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Marina. Time is short and there's a lot to talk, and I think we can keep on talking. But since we have to adhere to time, we've already gone 5 minutes over. But Marina, any concluding remarks, simple life lessons, 3 life lessons that you would want to share, that you learned along your journey of life, which I think have defined and redefined you, and redefined your moments in your times of brokenness?
Starting with, like, you're never broken, I don't believe. And if you have an emotion, it's just an emotion. Love it. Love the sadness. If you are feeling down, love it. If you're feeling anxious, it's a gift. Whatever you're feeling, I used to not think it was a gift. And then I stopped and went, oh, that person I shouldn't be around. It was my body's way of telling me something. Know whatever's appearing in your life is a gift, including your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. Don't make any of them wrong. You are not a robot. You're not an AI robot. The goal of life is not to be happy. The goal of life is to live fully, to experience the highs, the lows. When we open up that range, we can be with somebody else. We can connect fully with somebody else. We can step into making love, which means When our partner is crying, you can hold them, you can contain them. That's not about words. That's about silence. And what else is here? You can just say words like, what else is going on with you? Now, if you haven't sat with your own tears, how can you do that for a woman? And vice versa. You can't go deeper. And that's a deeper connection when you're making love as well. Same with anger. If you run out of the room when someone's angry and you can't be with the anger and you can't then understand it, then you won't be able to connect with other people and go deeper. And that's again in lovemaking. So I would say, look at what you're doing at the moment in your life. Look at all the patterns. Love it all. Because when you love the fuck out of everything and laugh, because it's not meant to be perfect. It's not meant to be this Disney princess life.
Right. Yeah. And I like what you said, that, don't make your goal, don't make happiness your goal, because unfortunately, thanks to the Constitution of the United States of America, which talks about the pursuit of happiness, everyone is pursuing happiness in the materialistic without realizing that happiness is not in the materialistic at all. And it is just when you are in the flow state without really pursuing anything, without really chasing anything, is when you actually experience true joy and happiness and true joy of being. So I completely agree with you on that, that don't chase happiness in the external, because all the happiness and the happy chemicals are within you. Yes.
But Derry, it's almost like when you don't make any of it wrong, when you love it all, when you don't make it wrong or repress it, and the acting helped me with that. Like when I was like, oh, Marina, actually feel this emotion. Oh, I'm meant to disconnect. I'm told I'm meant to disconnect. Oh, I'm meant to feel it. Okay. And then name it. Okay, I'll name it. So actually I'm feeling embarrassed. And then practicing that. Well, I don't have to have a drink now to go out, because I can be embarrassed and be with it and go, oh, this is a nice feeling, to feel a bit shy.
Right.
And be with it and go, oh, it's quite, it's, what's good about this? Well, as soon as you do that, it goes. And it's like, it's the key. It's like the more you love it all and you just don't make anything wrong, the more the byproduct is happiness.
Right.
And so it's like a formula. It's like a little formula. And I want to give you the formula because it's overcomplicated.
Absolutely. And I completely agree with you. And just to conclude, I mean, thank you for all the great lessons. You said you love Indian culture.
Yes.
You have 2 minutes to finally close with that. What is it that you love about Indian culture, and why?
I think out of all the people I've ever met in the world, they're the most humble, grounded.
That's what they portray. I can promise you that.
Kindest people. But I have been. So last year I went everywhere. I went to Thailand, and in Thailand, I ended up in a retreat getting taught Ayurveda medicine by an Indian man. And then I went to another retreat, and again, it was an Indian guru there. She was what I connected with. And I think it's probably from going to university. I went to university and I was meant to study marketing. I didn't study marketing. I studied about Hinduism, Sikhism, because everyone around there was like, Marina, we'll adopt you. And they like brought me into their culture, and they were so loving and so kind and open. But when I've been to other places in the world, even Dubai, it's the Indian people there that are so lovely and kind and given the most service and just the most beautiful people anywhere in the world. And I can't explain it. It's just an energy. It's just a soul thing that I have felt, that connection and that love from them. And it's not fake.
Right. Yes. A lot of Indians, a lot of us can be very genuine, very warm, and I think it takes all kinds to make any country. So I find the people in Thailand very humble and very, very dignified. And the way they go about helping each other, greeting each other is very dignified. And I always say that we should learn from them, because, they've continued with the best practices of saying savadika, which actually kind of grounds you and teaches you humility and to give respect to people. Every Thai national says that. And though we also have it in our culture to say namaste, we don't see too many Indians doing that. And I think that's where there is a disconnect, and we surely need a lot of improvement to be done as human beings, as people from India. And I think, though I love your sentiments about what you feel about Indians. I think there's a long way to go for us to
I
improve
don't
and
think
truly kind
there's,
of excel as Indians.
I don't think it's improvement. I think
Yeah,
it's just reminding
right.
who you really are,
And
getting rid of all the
I'm
crap
being
that society says.
absolutely kind of it's a appraisal on the self and the people of our country, and about how we need to do things to improve ourselves and improve things in our country. Because otherwise, it just becomes very easy to say everything is fine in the country without realizing a lot of things need to change. And we'll discuss that offline some other time. But thank you so much, Marina. Pleasure having a conversation with you. All the best with your book, Love the Fuck Out of Everything. And I hope it kind of really, you know, gives I'm sure it'll give the readers a lot of insight about what to do with their life, and especially the men who are struggling with a lot of issues. And thank you for making the time to join us. Do stay in touch, and we would love to have you as a part of a of an event that we are planning, which is called the Mojosh Magnificent 7, where we are planning a hybrid event, and we would love to have you share your story in that event also. So thank you for being a part of this Author Experience School convos that we have every Sunday. Thank you for making the time.
Thank you for the honor.
Namaste, and all the best. All the best for your book, and all the best for your journey as a coach and an actor. Thank you.
You.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.